Let me start with a scenario that I know most of you have lived through. You assign a brand new Windows 365 Cloud PC to a user. They're logging in for the first time, excited to get started. And what did they see? A hard-built desktop. Policy still applying, shortcuts still missing, and within minutes, you're getting a phone call. Hey, there's something wrong with my machine. Where's my applications? That first impression really matters, and in a lot of environments, we're still getting it wrong. Historically, we tried to solve this with image management, golden images, versioning, testing, updating, breaking things, fixing them again, go round and round and round in that circle. It's complex, it doesn't scale well, and honestly, it shouldn't be required in the world. So, this is where Autopilot for Windows 365 completely changes the game. With Autopilot, there's no image management at all, no capturing images, no rebuilding images because one application's changed. Everything is driven by Intune policies, application assignments, and user-based configuration. And this becomes even more powerful when you pair it with Windows 365 Cloud Apps. Cloud Apps lets you publish just the applications they need, using the same autopilot-driven build process underneath. It's already there, fully prepared. No waiting, no half-installed applications, no, just give it 10 more minutes and it will appear. Autopilot ensures that the cloud PC behind those apps is fully ready before the user even touches it, whether they're accessing a full desktop or individual cloud apps. So in this video, I'm going to show you how Autopilot works with Windows 365 and how it fits into both full desktops and cloud apps and how you can eliminate first date issues altogether. If you care about first impressions, few support tickets, and delivering Windows 365 in the way it's actually designed to be delivered, then stick around because you're going to love today's video. Okay, so first of all, let's actually take a look and see what Autopilot actually is for those of you who don't know. So, Autopilot is a Microsoft service which has been around for a while now for physical endpoints, right? And what Autopilot enables you to do, it enables you to install applications and apply configurations to Windows devices during build time. Okay, think about your hardware manufacturers like Dell, etc. You can give them the sort of hardware ID, and then basically what will happen is when the machine's been provisioned, it will then automatically deploy applications and apply configuration settings to that machine before the user actually logs onto the machine. Right? So that means that first time login experience is much better because what I'm doing is I'm installing the applications during build time. Okay, so this is the Microsoft documentation about it. It's very, very popular in the physical endpoint world, but up until recently, it's not been available in the virtual world. So Microsoft has now changed that, where we now have Autopilot for Windows 365 and also for cloud apps as well. You can use it for frontline, you can use it for cloud apps, you can use it for enterprise. So it really does enable you to give that first log on a much better experience. Okay, and you can see there, and that's essentially what we're doing here. So very much depending on Intune, so you need to use Intune for this. But yeah, it's been very popular within the physical endpoint world, and now we have it available within the virtual world, right? So what I'm going to do is in this video, I'm going to walk you through how to configure it for Windows 365, and then we'll go and perform the configuration, and then we'll build a device, and then I'll show you the end result for that as well. Okay, all right, so let's get into it. All right, so the first thing that we need something called a device preparation policy. So a device preparation policy is something which you use to specify the device configuration, essentially, right? And then we apply that device configuration onto the Windows 365 devices. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take you through step by step and show you how to perform that process. So let's go ahead and do that now. All right, so let's go and configure this thing. So first of all, we will create the Enter ID group, right? Then we will assign the owner permission to the app registration because we need to give the Autopilot service or the Intune service the capability to add and remove devices from the group temporarily, right? Then we will then go and set up the Autopilot provisioning policy. We will set the application, and then once we've done that, we'll set up the Windows 365 provisioning policy and then deploy the devices from that. So that's the steps that we have to go through. So the very first thing that we need a group. So let's create this group now. So we're going to call it security group. That is Windows 365 Autopilot. Sales users. Okay, sales user. Membership type is assigned. So the owner has to be the group, the administration. So it has to be this ID here. It may not exist in your environment. If it doesn't, I'll put some links in the description of how to create that. But basically, we need to have this present. So it has to be under this ID. Okay. And so we will select that, and then click the create button. Okay. That basically means that Autopilot is able to manage that group. Okay. Next thing that we need to do, we need to assign the applications that we want to deploy by Autopilot to that same group. Okay, so let's head over to the Intune portal and we'll do that now. If I go to my application, if I go to Windows, and then I'm going to use Adobe Acrobat Reader as an example. So this is one that I've got within my Intune portal. I'm going to click on here. And then basically, I'm going to select this as properties. And then I'm going to add the group. Okay, so this is another group that I was using for testing previously. So I'm going to go here, click on Edit Assignment. And then I'm going to click on Add Group. And then I'm going to call this group. So sales. Search for that group. So that's my sales Autopilot group that I've got there. Click next and then click review and save. And then click save. Okay, cool. So that's the group that I've got created. So now we've configured the Enter ID group. We've assigned the application to the Enter ID group. And we've given Intune/Autopilot the permissions to manage that Autopilot group as well. Okay, good. So next thing that we need to do is to go and create the Autopilot provisioning configuration. So to do that, we go over to the Intune portal, and then we go to Windows 365. So let me just go to Devices, Windows 365, and then we go under the Enrollment. So you can see here we've got Device Preparation Policies here. So I'm going to select this. I do have an existing one that I was just using for testing, but just to show you what the process looks like, I'll create this new one here. So we need to select automatic. Set up the Enter ID security group that will contain your Autopilot devices when they enroll. Right, so that's what we've just configured. The policies and apps intended for these devices should be targeted at this group. Right, so that's what we've gone and done. We've added the applications to that group. Automatic policies do not require assignments. Click next. Name. So I'm going to call this sales team Autopilot. Click it next. Device group. This is going to be the same group name. So select the Enter ID security group that will contain your Autopilot devices when they enroll. The policies, apps, and scripts intended for these devices should be assigned to this group explicitly or implicitly through the group's own membership. Right. So that's why we went in and added that policy. So you can see at the moment there's 0 devices and 0 users in there. Next, configuration settings. So this is where I'm defining what applications I want. Okay, so I'm going to select Adobe Acrobat Reader in there, right, and then I'm going to click Save. All right, so we can also add scripts in there as well. So if you do have any configuration scripts that you want to run or execute, you can add them in there as well. But we'll just show you the application basics. Review and create. So just to reiterate what we've done here. So we've called it Sales Team Autopilot, and that's the device group that we're giving Autopilot access to manage, and also we've assigned the application, okay, to that group. Settings, allowed applications, and then basically we set the scope tags where we don't need to set anything there. Okay, cool. So click Save button, and that's saving. So nothing will happen yet because now we need to go and do the Windows 365 provisioning policy. All right, we are in the Windows 365 provisioning policy screen. Okay, so I'm just going to click on Create Policy. Select the name. So we'll call this Sales Team Windows 365 Desktops. Okay. We will access it as a full Cloud PC desktop. So if you wanted to, you could also do the same thing here with Cloud Apps and also Frontline as well, but we're going to keep it simple. But the process is exactly the same if you're doing this for Cloud Apps as well. So we are doing Enter ID Join Geography. So we are going to select United Kingdom, region, UK South, and then we're also going to use Enter ID. I'm signing on as well for that. So click next. Image types, we don't need to select any images. We just pick the default image because we're layering the applications on top of it. Using this method, it saves us from having to do any kind of image management. And click next. So language, I want that to be United Kingdom, Autopilot. So this is the new setting here, right? So we are going to link it to the Autopilot device preparation policy that we just created. Okay, so I'm going to come here, I'm going to select the sales team Autopilot. So what you can now do as well, you can basically say, hey, how long do you want to wait before device preparation fails? So you can set that to 60, or you can reduce it down to 30 if you want to. From testing, it takes about 10 minutes to execute, so 30 should be a safe limit. So obviously, if you've got any larger applications that you want to deploy or complicated configurations that you want to maybe up that to 90, 60, in fact, no, I think, yeah, up to 360 minutes. So 360 minutes is the largest time you can do that for, right? So yeah, we'll put that to 30 just for testing, okay? Prevent users from connecting. So what this will do, if there's a problem, or if it doesn't install the applications, we can actually not let the user log on to the device, right? So obviously, this is a decision that you would need to make to decide, but if it's critical that those users log on to that device and the applications have to be there, or the security settings have to be there, then this definitely something that you want to tick. If you're not too bothered, if you're happy for people just to log on to a generic desktop, then you can probably leave this unticked, but definitely for the more secure, or those who want the best user experience, you can just take. Obviously, the downside is if something doesn't work, then the user's not going to have a desktop to log on to. So probably a decision that you need to discuss internally. Okay, so we selected that. So that's the only configuration that we need to do here, right? The rest is just a standard provisioning policy. So again, I can select scope tags, I can select assignment. So here I'm going to select my Windows 365 licensing group. So I've got a group here with my Windows 365 people in it. So I'm going to select next. Next for that. Okay, so we're going to deploy the Windows 11 25H2 image, English United Kingdom, and then we're pointing it to this Autopilot device preparation policy here as well, which is hopefully going to go ahead and install Adobe Acrobat Reader. Okay, it'll wait for 30 minutes. It times out if there's an issue. And if there is an issue, it won't let anybody log on to that desktop. So that's the major difference between if you just deploy them via Intune. We're actually deploying the applications before the user actually gets the device and actually logs onto the device. And if the application doesn't get there, the user won't be able to log onto the device at all. Okay. All right. So then we just click the create button. So that's added that policy. If I just click that refresh button, we should see that go into provisioning state shortly. Then that will go ahead and provision that desktop and then install Adobe Acrobat Reader onto that desktop. All right, so here's one that I did earlier today. You can see this autopilot test and that's been provisioned. If I go onto the device name, this is the one that was deployed earlier. If I go to managed apps, I can see the application that's been deployed on there saying it's installed. But what you can also do just to make sure that it did work, you can go into the enrollment and then I think it's the monitor, yep, and then go to autopilot device preparation status. Okay, so you can see here it took like 11 minutes and 20 seconds and this was the device, and then if you can see here it deployed that application successfully. So that was Adobe Acrobat installed, and that was done by the autopilot device preparation. Okay, so what we'll do now is we'll go and log on to that desktop and then just double check and see whether the application was actually deployed on there. So let's go and do that now. So I'm at the Windows app and this is my autopilot test group. Just going to click on the connect button. Okay, that's going to log me onto the Windows 365 desktop. Okay, so we can see there we've got Adobe Acrobat Reader on the start menu. So just double click that and there you go. Adobe Acrobat Reader is installed. Okay, so just to reiterate, that was installed before the user actually had a chance to log on to the desktop. Okay, so it was ready to go from the minute that user was able to log on and the desktop was provisioned. Okay, all right, so there you go. There is the Windows 365 Autopilot. configuration. Interested to hear your feedback and whether you'll be using this or not. I think it's a great solution. I really do. Autopilot has been around a little while now, obviously for physical devices, and now that we've got it for Windows 365, it's a great thing. Maybe they'll introduce it as a virtual desktop as well. Don't know, who knows, but it'll be a cool thing for single session desktops as well. So that's it for this week. If you like this content, please click the like and subscribe button, and I'll see you next week for another video. Thanks. Bye bye.